In this video, I will be showing you how to make these soft and chewy ginger snaps, and we're going to make them entirely from scratch. Into a large bowl, we're going to add 2 cups of all-purpose flour. And once we add in our flour, we're going to add in 1 teaspoon of baking soda. The baking soda will help the cookies to spread out while they're in the oven. And next we're going to add a ½ teaspoon of iodized salt. And we're going to move on to our spices. So I have 1½ teaspoons of ginger, 3/4 teaspoons of cinnamon, 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, and finally 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. The nutmeg will give the cookies a subtle nutty flavor. You won't find it in most ginger snap recipes, but the added complexity really helps to enhance the flavor of the cookies, so I do recommend giving it a try. So I just finished whisking all of the dry ingredients together until well combined, and now I'm going to move on to combining the wet ingredients. I have a separate large bowl here, and into this bowl I'm going to add 3/4 cups of melted unsalted butter. Now, a typical cookie recipe will call for 2 parts flour and 1 part butter, but we're using a little less than that, and I'm going to explain why in a little bit. So I just added to the bowl 1/2 cup of white granulated sugar, and now I'm adding 1/2 cup of dark brown sugar. It is very important that you use dark brown sugar, as that is what will help contribute to the deep orange color that is normally associated with ginger snaps. So I just whisked the butter and sugar together until they're well combined, and now I'm going to move on to adding the next ingredient. So I'm going to add 2 extra large egg yolks to the wet ingredients. Now, with most of my cookie recipes, I only use egg yolks. The reason why is because egg whites tend to contain protein, and the protein has a tendency to dry out the cookies as they bake in the oven. Meanwhile, much of the emulsifying properties that we associate with an egg is found in the egg yolks. Thus, there's nothing of value lost from excluding the egg whites, in my opinion, which is why I opt against using whole eggs in my cookie recipes. So I just added 1/4 cup of unsulfured molasses, and the molasses not only helps to give the cookies a chewy texture by delaying the crystallization of the sugar with its acidity, but it also provides added moisture for the cookies, which negates the need for the extra butter that we excluded earlier. So I just finished whisking the molasses together with the other wet ingredients, and now I'm adding 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. The vanilla not only provides additional flavor, but it helps to neutralize some of the bitterness in the molasses as well. And I'm going to whisk that until it's well combined with the other ingredients. And once that's done, we're going to move on to combining the wet and dry ingredients. So we're going to move this bowl out of the way and bring over our bowl with the dry ingredients. And as I mentioned, I like to be different. I know a lot of recipes will have you put the dry ingredients into the bowl with the wet ingredients. I like to do it the opposite way. I like to put the wet ingredients in the bowl with the dry ingredients. It won't make a difference in the end. It'll all come out the same. I just prefer doing it this way. So once I get all of the wet ingredients into the bowl, I'm just going to fold it all together until it's just combined. You want to be careful not to overwork the dough as you're combining the wet and dry ingredients, because if you do, that will lead to gluten development, which will prevent the cookies from baking properly once they're in the oven. And when I say just combined, you should see no apparent flour in the dough. So now that the wet and dry ingredients are combined and our dough is formed, we're going to move on to the next step. In this small bowl, I'm adding 1/4 cup of white granulated sugar, and this is the bowl that we're going to roll our dough around in. And I'm currently forming it into a ball right now, and we're going to roll it in this bowl in order to coat it with the sugar. Now, before doing this, I do recommend allowing the dough to rest for 15 to 20 minutes. Once you finish combining the wet and dry ingredients, the dough will be sticky initially, and by allowing it to rest, that will give the fats some time to solidify before you start rolling it into a ball and trying to coat it with the sugar. So now that we finished coating the dough with the sugar, we're going to place it on our cookie sheet. I lined my cookie sheet with parchment paper. It's not required, but I do recommend it, as that will prevent the cookies from sticking to the bottom. And I'm going to place it in a preheated oven at 350 degrees, and we're going to bake these cookies for 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, the cookies should be ready, so we would remove them from the oven. I recommend allowing the cookies to cool 10 minutes before serving. If you mess with the cookies too soon, you risk having them fall apart. So by allowing them to cool, that will give the cookies time to firm up. In terms of servings, you should be able to get 18 cookies out of this recipe, assuming you're using a 2 tablespoon or 1 ounce cookie scoop, and the dough should be good in the freezer for up to 3 months. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you would like to see more of these recipes, please like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.